Walk beneath a genuinely well-built bamboo arch, dripping with climbing roses or morning glory, and you feel it immediately, that specific, almost ceremonial sense of passing through a threshold into a different part of the garden. And the honest secret behind that feeling is that bamboo and simple twine, lashed together, using a technique most gardeners have relied on for centuries across multiple cultures, can build a genuinely sturdy version of that exact structure for a fraction of what a manufactured metal or vinyl arch costs at a garden center. Once you understand how to source your bamboo responsibly, lash it securely, and choose climbing plants that actually suit this particular structure's strengths, a bamboo arch becomes one of the most visually rewarding and genuinely achievable weekend projects available to a beginner gardener. Sourcing bamboo poles for this project deserves real thought before you start cutting anything, since not all bamboo is created equal when it comes to sustainable responsible harvesting. Clumping bamboo varieties, which grow in contained, well-behaved clusters rather than spreading aggressively through underground rhizomes, are the far more responsible source if you are cutting from a living stand yourself, since running bamboo species have earned a genuinely well-deserved reputation for escaping garden beds and becoming a serious, invasive nuisance across large parts of the United States, capable of pushing through concrete and spreading dozens of feet from an original planting within just a few years. If you do not have access to your own established clumping bamboo, purchasing pre-cut, kiln-dried bamboo poles from a garden supplier or hardware store sidesteps this concern entirely and gives you consistently sized, already dried material that will not warp or crack unpredictably, the way freshly cut green bamboo sometimes does as it dries. Selecting poles in the 1 to 2 inch diameter range for your main uprights, with slightly thinner poles reserved for cross-bracing and decorative detail, gives you the structural strength you need at the base, while keeping the overall structure visually light rather than heavy and clunky. The actual lashing technique that holds a bamboo arch together is genuinely one of the most satisfying parts of this entire project to learn, and it requires nothing more than natural jute or hemp twine and a bit of practice tension. Position your 2 main upright poles where you want each side of your arch to stand, then lash a horizontal or diagonal cross brace at roughly waist height using a technique called square lashing, wrapping the twine repeatedly around both poles in a tight figure 8 pattern, but before finishing with several tight frapping turns cinched between the 2 poles to draw everything snug, a method borrowed directly from traditional scaffolding and camping lashwork that has proven itself structurally sound for genuinely heavy loads over centuries of practical use. For the arch's curved or peaked top section, thinner, more flexible bamboo poles can be gently bent and lashed into place while slightly green and pliable, or alternatively, 2 straight poles can be lashed together at an angle to form a simple peaked roofline, a considerably easier beginner-friendly alternative to a true, curved arch that still reads as a genuine garden threshold once climbing plants fill it in. Setting your main upright poles at least 18 to 24 inches into the ground, ideally into holes partially filled with gravel for drainage before backfilling with soil, keeps your finished structure genuinely stable against wind and the eventual weight of mature climbing plants, rather than relying on the lashing alone to keep everything upright. A small, genuinely simple toolkit covers the entire build. A pruning saw or sturdy garden shears for cutting bamboo to length, a mallet for helping set uprights into pre-dug holes without splitting the ends, and plenty of twine, generally more than beginners initially estimate they will need, round out the essentials. Many builders also add decorative flourishes. Once the core structure is sound, weaving a few thinner bamboo canes horizontally between the main uprights, below the cross brace to create a more solid, latticed lower section, or lashing small bundles of bamboo at an angle near the top corners, purely for visual interest rather than structural necessity, small touches that add genuine handcrafted character without meaningfully increasing the building difficulty. Choosing which plants to grow up. Your finished arch matters enormously, and this is genuinely the step where beginners most often either delight themselves or accidentally overwhelm a structure that was never built to handle what they eventually planted. Climbing roses and clematis are outstanding, well-proportioned choices for a bamboo arch, offering genuine visual drama, without excessive structural weight, and their climbing habits. Arching canes for roses and gripping tendrils for clematis. Both interact beautifully with bamboo's naturally twiggy, textured surface. Morning glory, sweet peas, and pole beans are lighter-weight annual options that provide fast, satisfying coverage within a single season and put minimal structural strain on your arch, even at full maturity. Wisteria deserves a genuine word of caution here specifically, since this classic, undeniably spectacular arch plant grows into an extraordinarily heavy woody vine capable of collapsing a poorly built structure within just a few years, and the Chinese and Japanese Wisteria species, more commonly sold in nurseries, are also officially classified as invasive across much of the eastern and southern United States, aggressively escaping cultivation and smothering native trees in forested areas. If Wisteria's dramatic cascading blooms genuinely appeal to you, American Wisteria, a native species with a considerably more restrained growth habit, offers a responsible alternative, though even this native variety benefits from a reinforced, more heavily built arch than you would need for lighter, annual climbers. Light and temperature requirements for whatever you plant. Naturally follow the specific species you have chosen, and matching your arch's actual placement to those needs before you finish building saves considerable disappointment later. Climbing roses and clematis both genuinely want a solid 6 hours of direct sun to bloom well, though clematis specifically benefits from having its root zone shaded and cooled, often through a low companion plant or a layer of mulch at its base. While the vine itself climbs upward into full sun exposure, morning glory and pole beans are more straightforwardly sun-hungry across their entire structure and want full, unobstructed sun for the majority of the day. Temperature tolerance varies by species in ways worth planning around regionally, since climbing roses generally prefer the more moderate temperatures many parts of the country experience in spring and fall, often slowing their bloom production during genuine summer heat waves. In the hottest states, while morning glory and beans handle intense summer heat considerably better and will happily continue climbing and flowering the hottest weeks, most American gardens experience. The research behind bamboo as a structural building material reaches genuinely far beyond garden decor into serious engineering literature. Materials science research comparing bamboo's strength-to-weight ratio against traditional timber has repeatedly found bamboo's tensile strength genuinely rivals or exceeds many hardwoods relative to its weight, a property architects and engineers in bamboo-growing regions have exploited for genuinely large-scale construction projects, from footbridges to multi-story buildings, meaning the same fundamental material properties supporting those large structures are quietly at work in your considerably more modest garden arch. Separate horticultural research on vertical growing structures has found that training climbing plants upward through an arch or trellis meaningfully improves air circulation around foliage compared to the same species left to sprawl, genuinely reducing fungal disease incidence in humid climates, while also making any flowers or fruit produced considerably easier to actually see and enjoy at eye level, rather than hidden in a ground-level tangle. There is also documented research specifically on garden thresholds and spatial psychology, with environmental design studies, finding that a defined entry point, an arch, gate, or similar transitional structure, measurably increases how strongly visitors perceive distinct zones within a garden, essentially using architecture to signal a meaningful shift from one area to another, even in a modest backyard setting, which is part of why a single well-placed arch so often makes an entire garden feel more intentionally designed than the same space without one. The effect of building and tending an arch like this on your own well-being connects to research on extended, seasonally unfolding projects, and the specific satisfaction of watching living structure develop gradually. Unlike a single-session decorative project, a bamboo arch genuinely rewards patience across an entire growing season, from the initial lashing to the first tendrils finding their grip to the eventual full coverage of blooms forming a genuine, living doorway. And research on delayed gratification hobbies has found this kind of visibly progressing, extended timeline project correlates with sustained engagement and reported life satisfaction that briefer, immediately completed projects often cannot match. Essentially, delivering months of small, repeated positive reinforcement, rather than a single moment of completion, followed by nothing further to anticipate. Watering plants trained up your bamboo arch follows genuinely standard practice for whatever specific climber you have chosen. Checked with the same reliable finger test used across nearly every garden project, pressing into soil roughly 2 inches down and watering deeply whenever that depth feels dry, rather than relying on frequent shallow sprinkles that only wet the surface and encourage weak, shallow root development. Climbing roses specifically benefit from watering directed at the soil, rather than over the foliage, since wet leaves left damp overnight are considerably more prone to developing black spot and other fungal diseases common to roses, while clematis, sweet peas, and pole beans are somewhat more forgiving of overhead watering, though deep soil watering remains the more reliable approach across the board. During the establishment period, in a plant's first few months after transplanting near your arch, checking soil moisture every couple of days rather than assuming an established watering schedule will suffice, helps young roots settle in successfully before they can reliably access deeper soil moisture on their own. Fertilizing and pruning both play genuinely significant roles in keeping your arch display looking its best, while also protecting the structure itself from being overwhelmed. Feed climbing roses with a rose-specific fertilizer every 4 to 6 weeks through the growing season for the strongest bloom production, while lighter annual climbers like morning glory and sweet peas generally need only a modest, diluted feeding every few weeks to support their faster, more compact growth cycle. Pruning applies on 2 genuinely important levels here. For the plant itself, regularly tying in new rose canes as they extend, deadheading spent clematis and sweet pea blooms to encourage continued flowering, and trimming back any growth that has begun pulling too heavily on one side of the structure, all keep both plant and arch in genuine balance with each other. For the bamboo structure itself, periodically checking and retightening any lashing that has loosened as the poles naturally settle, and as accumulated plant weight shifts the structure slightly, particularly during the first full season, catches small structural issues before they become genuine failures under a mature plant's full weight. Even a well-built bamboo arch runs into predictable issues, and knowing how to read them takes most of the guesswork out of keeping yours both beautiful and structurally sound. Bamboo poles that begin to soften, discolor, or show visible rot specifically at the point where they meet the soil are experiencing the single most common failure point. For this kind of structure, since ground contact combined with consistent moisture accelerates decay considerably faster than the rest of the exposed pole experiences, and treating the buried portion of your poles with an exterior wood preservative before installation, or setting them into a concrete footing, rather than directly into soil, meaningfully extends this vulnerable section's lifespan. Twine that has faded, frayed, or loosened after a season or 2 of sun and rain exposure is a genuinely expected maintenance item rather than a building mistake, and simply relashing weakened joints with fresh twine annually, ideally as part of an early springs check before new growth puts real weight back on the structure, keeps your arch reliably sound. Year after year, a structure that visibly sags or leans under a mature climbing plant's weight indicates either insufficient ground depth for your uprights, or simply a plant that has genuinely outgrown what the structure was built to support, and adding additional diagonal cross-bracing, or in more serious cases rebuilding, with thicker poles and deeper uprights, addresses this before a genuine collapse occurs. And if your chosen climber seems reluctant to actually grip its young, the structure on its own, Gently hand training the first several inches of new growth around a nearby pole, much as you would with any twining vine on any other support, typically gets it established well enough that the plant's own natural climbing mechanism takes over from there. Ca. Building a genuinely beautiful, structurally sound bamboo arch really comes down to respecting a short list of fundamentals. Source your bamboo responsibly and avoid running varieties. If harvesting your own, lash every joint with genuine tension, using proven techniques rather than a loose approximation. Set your uprights deep enough to handle real wind and eventual plant weight. Choose a climbing plant genuinely proportioned to what your structure can support, and stay ahead of both watering and structural maintenance across the growing season. Handle those details with intention, and you will end up with exactly the kind of organic, handcrafted garden threshold that instantly signals someone built this with real care, standing strong and steadily more beautiful with every passing season of growth. If you love learning about seasonal flowering plants, vegetables, gardening tips, and nature care, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Nature Nurture Hub, your home for year-round garden inspiration. Let's keep growing together.